Unscripted, unfiltered, unafraid. Welcome to the Macworld Podcast. I'm Michael Simon. I'm joined, as always, by Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And our producer, Roman Loyola.
Ahoy there.
This is podcast number 948. I think I got the hang of the numbering now, Roman. It goes up one a week, right?
In theory. In this reality.
And we're recording the show on Thursday, August 28th, which is a couple days later than usual. Usually we record it on a Tuesday. Last week we recorded it earlier than usual because this is August and we all take vacations in August to try to get in before the iPhone event. Roman was away last week. He was in Hawaii. We can all feel bad for him. I'm sure you're thrilled to be back away from that paradise that is Hawaii. Do you stay at a resort, or do you stay at a family member's house, or like
we stayed at a hotel. We tend to stay at a hotel in like downtown Waikiki because it's kind of central to the places where we want to go.
That's is that Oahu?
Yes, that is Oahu, the main island where the capital is. My wife has family there. That's why we go there. And we were only there for like 3 nights. We weren't there very long this time.
I mean, it's still nice though. Was it? I'm sure the weather was perfect.
It was nice. It was warm and hot. It was hot, and we went on a nice hike. Mm-hmm. I ate a lot of food, way too much. Do you have like traditional like pig roasts and stuff? We haven't actually like gone to a luau or anything like that in a long time. Like, I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon. That was like 25 years ago, and we went to a luau then, but we haven't been to a luau since then. We mostly spend time like we'll check out different sites that we haven't been to yet. Go on a hike or two. And then my wife likes to swim in the ocean, so that's mostly why we go, so she can swim.
Do you stay at the same place every time?
No, I think it's mostly we try and find the best hotel rate. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, sure.
We do have a couple of favorite hotels, but we mostly try and find a better rate. So
that's where like Honolulu's on that island, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, where we like to stay is pretty much in that Honolulu area. So
do you get? Hold on, I got to look up the name. There's like these like little donuts.
The malasadas?
Like, yes. Those things are freaking ridiculous.
So malasadas is a kind of a thing in my family because
they should be.
My wife's family has their own recipe, which I actually think is better than what you'll find on the island.
We went to Leonard's Bakery. I just looked it up.
Yes, that's the most popular.
Yeah,
place.
It was insanely crowded. Like we couldn't even get like a spot in the lot for like 15
like a tourist thing. Like everyone goes there.
Yeah, but they were delicious. Hey, how can you get me a dozen of your family's malasadas? Because you have to. I need to try them.
All right. So what my wife usually does is like she gets together with her cousin who lives close by. And when they get together, they have this big thing where they basically make malasadas all day long.
Wow.
And
you are so lucky.
Her recipe is just is a lot different than what you'll find like everywhere on the island. Because everywhere on the island it's very close to donut like.
Yeah, it was like almost like a beignet when I had it. Like they're kind of warm and they're filled with stuff. But they were friggin' delicious. Yeah. Jason, if you've never had them, you need to go.
I haven't. I haven't. I've had my share of beignets, and it's weird because there's that, and the other big thing is the shaved ice stuff, which is very different in Hawaii than what I'm used to from Louisiana. Is those kind of shaved ice and snow cones things are more like gritty, pebbly. They don't have that. They are shaved ice, but they don't have that really fluffy texture and stuff. It's funny because there's a couple food trucks here that do it, that sort of Hawaiian style thing where it's just like, it's almost like cotton candy. It's so fluffy. But Hawaii's on our list. It's one of those things. My wife really wants to go, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go too. But every time we price it out, we go, why aren't we just going to Japan?
Yeah,
let's go back to Japan.
Yeah. It can be very expensive. Yes.
I went once when my son graduated from elementary school, and it was like tons of maneuvering with flights and hotels and overnights and layovers to try to get like the best price. It's not cheap, and that was like 3 years ago. I'm sure it's like probably almost twice that now with the price of things.
Yeah.
I've never been to New Orleans, Jason, and I definitely want to. That's on my list to get like a fresh beignet.
Just do not. Yeah, just don't go in the summer. It's so hot and muggy, and that's not the time to go. The best time to go is, I mean, if you're not going to do Mardi Gras, because you got to go.
I don't care about Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
I actually would actively avoid it. I'm not good with crowds like that.
Yeah. So also don't go during Jazz Fest, because that's just like a crazy, huge deal. But between Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest, when there's a time in the spring when it's not too hot, it's a great time to go.
Yeah, it's on my list. My wife was there once before we met, and just raves about the food and the just the debauchery, the good debauchery of New Orleans.
Right. I went to New Orleans.
I was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I was just.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. I was just gonna say I went to New Orleans like a couple years ago, and it was a blast. We had a really good time.
Yeah, it's one of those places that I love to visit, and I'm glad I don't live there.
Yeah.
My sister will never leave. It's like in her blood, and she's like ride or die New Orleans. But I would not want to live there. It's got a lot of problems that affect people who just like, this is where I live, that you don't care about when you're going there for a week.
Sure. I kind of feel that way about New York City. I'm close enough, and I have family there, and I go often, and it's the same thing. Like, I love visiting, but I'm also happy to like, all right, I don't have to deal with. First of all, it's ridiculously expensive, but just all the inherent problems.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Pennsylvania, Roman, for the Little League World Series, and the Honolulu team was there. Was there any indication where you were that they were there? Like, were there signs up and stuff and people excited?
The hype had died down, even though it was only a couple of days ago. But I had talked to a few people, and they were all really excited. They get a lot of hype when the Little League World Series comes around, because I think the team from Hawaii has had some success in the Little League World Series over the past few years.
3 years ago, they were insane. That team was just like, they beat everyone by like 10 or 12 runs. They were ridiculous.
Oh God.
Yeah, they were so good.
Yeah.
And they're always like super respectful and friendly. And the coach is like 70 years old, has been doing it his whole life. And it's just, it seems like it's just the back of their jersey says "we" is greater than me. Like, they're just, it's a very chill team.
Yeah.
But this year's team didn't make it as far.
Yeah.
But they won a game or two, maybe. But 2 years ago, it was like the greatest team ever. All right. So while you were gone, Roman, that's a transition.
Welcome to our Hawaii podcast.
Yeah. Apple on Tuesday released its invitation for the iPhone 17 event with the tagline of "awe-dropping," and it was like immediately overshadowed like an hour later, because Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced their engagement, which is hilarious, because like, usually like that's Apple's day. They have the event and they have the like everyone's talking about the invitation, but like within like 45 minutes, like nobody cared. Like they were all talking about Travis Kelce, and like I wonder, does Tim Cook get on the phone with like Taylor Swift's publicist and be like, what the hell? Like, this is our day.
I doubt it. I don't think there's a lot of. I don't think that Venn diagram has a lot of overlap. Like the people who just like care so much about the announcement of the event, but also are just like, oh my God, Taylor Swift. Like that. I don't think so. But
I mean, I know a lot of Swifties have iPhones.
Sure. But they might be interested in the event itself. But like the day they announced that the event is coming on the date that everyone expected it to come is just not really.
Yeah, right. That's probably true.
And this invitation didn't really give us a lot of hints. Sometimes the tagline, which is almost always a pun, gives you a hint. Sometimes the image gives you a hint. You had to really squint and look sideways and read between the lines to try and find meaning in this one.
Yeah. Wait, I totally forgot. Wait, hold on. Pause.
All right.
This show, so we're going to talk about the iPhone event now. Later in the show, we're going to have our worst thing that happened this week segment. We're going to look at this week in Apple history, and we're going to end with, as usual, as always, with our reader mailbag. I will get better at the organization of the show. This is week 3. I'm getting there. But yeah, Jason's right. Last year's tagline was "It's Glow Time," which was a clear reference to the new Siri, because they had already announced and demonstrated and were beta testing Apple Intelligence, which included, the old Siri was when you hit the button and a little orb popped up. This one, it glows like we have now. It glowed around the edge and the colors match. And it was obvious that this is what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. And then they released a phone that didn't have that thing, which, and had commercials for advertising features that we still don't have.
Right.
So this year, as Jason just said, it's very vague. Awe-dropping clearly is reference to jaw-dropping, but that could just literally mean anything.
Yeah, it just means that it's going to be good. And the image that came with it is a sort of clear, oil slicky.
Yeah.
It looks like one of those films that you press and it changes colors, like kind of a thing.
The heat map things, yeah.
Yeah, like one of those heat-sensitive film things. It looks sort of like that. Everybody started speculating that they're going to do some sort of like FLIR camera or something. They're not going to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it kind of hinted at some colors, but the colors don't really match up with the leaked colors, the colors of that logo.
Yeah. I mean, you could find them in there, orange and dark blue and light blue and black. But yeah, you're right. They're not obviously
those colors
indicating, those colors. So the logo, which, if you look at it on your screen, it's a black Apple logo with like colors around it. If you like on a Mac, look on apple.com, you can like hover over it with your mouse and it'll kind of like change colors,
Reacts.
I guess. Yeah. Right. That's a better word. Thank you. You could do it with a pencil or on an iPad or your finger on an iPhone. Pretty cool. I tend to agree with Jason. I don't think that necessarily means they're going to come out with like some special version that is heat sensitive, although that would be cool. I wouldn't mind a hypercolor iPhone. that'd be neat.
To me, and it's always a game to play. What's the speculation of like, what's the logo and the tagline mean? Like what, and of course we play that as well. But the one that I think has some real legitimacy here is it like we said, it looks like sort of a thermal map. It looks like that thermal film. When you touch it, it goes from the dark color to the higher orange red colors like a thermal film would. And the new iPhone 17 Pro models, at least, are rumored to have this new vapor chamber cooling system so that it can run at peak performance for a long time without having to throttle down and stuff. That's the closest thing that I think is like a real legitimate reference, that they have a new thermal management system and they're doing sort of like one of those thermal heat map, thermal film logos. That's okay, I'll give you that.
Sure. And, that would be like a subtle reference that, it's not an obvious thing. But looking back, you would say, oh yeah, that's what they were talking about. I remember, I think it was the iPhone 6 event. The picture was like an Apple logo, and then with like a blurry background. And that was when portrait mode came out. So like looking back, you're like, oh yeah, that's what they were talking about. The whole bokeh effect. I don't like, do you think Apple has like meetings? It's like, all right, so 6 months ago they had a meeting and it's like, all right, we're gonna do the event invitation. here's what we want to subtly put in there? Or do we just kind of see all this stuff and it's not really there?
There's definitely a meeting, but I don't think it's I don't think it's like I don't think the people who make those marketing materials, those logos and taglines and stuff, are privy to the entire details of the lineup. I think they get probably word associations that they want to talk about, right? Like, and for the bokeh one, they would be like, we want something that emphasizes that sort of the
depth
bokeh
of field photography,
of depth of field and photography. We want to emphasize photography, almost like a word cloud of things.
That makes sense.
And then they say, hey, see what you can come up with from that. That would be my guess, as opposed to, because even within Apple, very disparate teams and parts of the company, they're so secretive. They don't let everybody know what everything is doing.
Right,
it's too big. Not that everything doesn't leak anyway.
Yeah, right. They just have to look at any Apple site and they know what's happening. Yeah. There are like 25 different taglines that they reject.
I bet they whittle it down to just a handful of logos and taglines, and they show Tim and the other senior execs, and they approve the one they like best. That would be my guess. I don't know. We do know it's happening on the day and time we all predicted, right?
Yeah. Yeah, September 9th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, exactly 1 year after the 2024 event, which is rare because usually they're on a Tuesday. Last year's event was on a Monday, and we still don't know why. For whatever reason, they picked Monday, which we thought okay, maybe they're going to start having keynotes on Monday because they have WWDC on Monday. But no, then they went right back to Tuesday. But it's exactly a year after the iPhone 16 event. And we're going to get into more, much more in depth next week when we have our big event preview podcast show. But jaw-dropping, it has to refer to, if it refers to anything, it's got to refer to the iPhone 17 Air, right? That's their big jaw-dropping release. I would think so.
Or somebody said on our social media channels, they think it's referring to the upgrade to the Vision Pro, AR, AR, augmented reality, dropping, AR dropping. No, I think that's a reach. This is not the big Vision Pro update that brings it to the masses. And it may not even happen. The rumors are pretty sketchy that they'd even announce it at this event.
Yeah.
It's supposed to come this year, but not necessarily this event. But it's a processor upgrade. It's still going to be expensive. This isn't.
And we don't really have there's no Vision Pro cadence yet.
No.
It was announced at WWDC, then it didn't ship till the following February, and we haven't gotten an update yet. So we don't even know where Apple positions Vision Pro in the release calendar yet. It could be part of the iPhone event.
Yeah, they don't. I don't actually even think they have a spot in mind yet, because they're not producing them on a cadence like that yet. Eventually, it'll have to be a thing where they go is this part of our spring lineup? Is this part of our fall lineup? But I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, I agree. And Vision Pro is, it's, people call it a failure, but it is part of the whole, the iPhone and the Vision Pro are oddly connected, because Vision Pro is supposed to be what's next, even though it's here now. But Apple is clearly looking for Vision Pro to be what everyone gravitates to after the iPhone has kind of run its course, after holding a handset has kind of run its course. The next thing is
if not Vision Pro, but
then glasses.
The Vision Pro's great grandchild, which is some sort of spatial computing thing, is supposed to be the next thing that 10 or 15 years from now, that's what everyone's buying and using as their main whatever. That's the pitch. Anyway, I'm not sure I'm on board with that, but that's what they say.
Yeah. And it's not going to be for a while because this year, this next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, we got the 17 Air. A report earlier this week talked about future iPhones, and the next 3 years is going to be this big kind of iPhone renaissance, whatever you want to call it, revamp, remodel, where each year is going to bring like a substantial change to the iPhone, which we haven't gotten in a while. I mean, the iPhone 16, it's a fine phone, but it's essentially the iPhone 12. Like we haven't gotten a real redesign in a long time. And even this year, like there's going to be changes. We'll talk about them next week, but nothing like dramatic. The 17 Air is the closest thing to it. Next year, so Gurman reported earlier this week, or well, in his newsletter on Sunday, which we've heard before, but he kind of put it all into like a neat little package, that next year we're going to get the first folding iPhone. And the year after that, we're going to get this 20th anniversary bezel-less, Face ID-less, curved glass model that, man, we have been hearing about this since I think like 2018. This like mythical iPhone that is just a piece of glass that you hold in your hand and it does everything.
This year it's like camera bar and super
and
skinny
a slight
iPhone
change.
And a super skinny iPhone, which the engineering behind those things is the engineering that they need to make a folding phone that's not too thick.
Exactly right.
And then the folding phone comes next year, and that solves another set of problems with bendable displays and all this other stuff. Yep. And then the year after that, they're supposed to basically make the edges, instead of flat, curve down into the sides, and the screen go all the way there, so that you're holding all screen essentially.
Right.
Some of the Samsung phones kind of do this.
Yeah, like years ago.
Right. And only to the sides, not the top and bottom. And they still had like notches and stuff. This is supposed to mostly get away with the notch and get to the hole punch, or maybe not just a hole punch. But I mean, I think Face ID will still be there, but you won't have a hole in your screen to show it where the thing is. So there's software changes that have to come along with each of these steps and apparently that's happening over several years. Like you said, we've been hearing about this for a while. So.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask, so Jason and I worked together at a website called Greenbot, also, kind of like a sister to Macworld, and like that was 10 years ago, and we wrote about this stuff all the time. The Galaxy, the Galaxy S10 had that curved display with the thing you swiped over from the side. And listen, I'm not saying that the curved iPhone won't be this. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know. We have no idea because it's just very vague descriptions. But if this is part of a process, of a 3-year process that Gurman describes, like that would be the one. Like this is what we've been building towards.
Right.
And I don't know. Like what would it have to have or be or look like for you to say, like, yeah, I see this is a 20, it took us 20 years to get.
I don't.
I know it's a hard question. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm kind of like really just talking out loud because maybe it's something that we haven't seen before. Maybe it's something that like Apple has the history of giving us things like the iPod. If you would have heard the iPod description 2 years prior, it's a $400 MP3 player with FireWire. Like, well, what the hell is that?
Right.
But
that's just really small.
Right. When you saw it, when you use it, like, I get it. Yeah.
How it all comes together. I can imagine those not old, but like those old sort of Samsung Galaxy phones that had the tapered sides.
Yes.
Doing that on all sides, not having a port, just wireless charging.
Just wireless.
So that it kind of tapers around on all sides. It's thinner. Even in the thick part, even in the middle where it's thick, it's thinner. I feel like that would feel really futuristic. I don't know if that would be good to hold and use in your hand or not. Yeah. That's one of those things you kind of have to experience. And they're going to have to do a lot of software work around making sure that apps don't occupy those edges where your fingers wrap over. And there's a lot of stuff that's got to go on. And by then, we'll be in this whole different generation of where AI is how you use your phone. And I don't mean that like chatbots. I mean like telling your phone to do something and it does it, like within apps and all this other stuff.
Right. Less like physical interaction.
Less physical interaction, possibly. You know, I mean, not the screen's not going anywhere, right. You know, but that may take away some of that necessity to be so precious about how you hold it and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that Apple will be able to make something that's futuristic. I also feel like that normal thing for Apple is to make something that literally every Samsung person will comment on social media, on every social media thing, and say like, "Oh, we had that 10 years ago," and you know, that's normal. It's Apple.
Worth noting
they take
that
something, they refine it, and they make it popular. So
it's worth noting that Samsung stopped doing that. So
yeah.
You know, it was like a couple generations and then they went away from it completely. And now the iPhone and the Galaxy phones are pretty similar as far as, flat edges and the uniform bezels and thin and all stuff. And they even have the S25 Edge they came out with earlier this year. There's basically the iPhone 17 Air with a super skinny phone, and it only has 2 cameras instead of 3 cameras, and the battery life's not so great. So it would be kind of funny.
That's the joke now, is that whatever Apple's rumored to do, Samsung rushes out a product so it's out a few months before Apple gets there. So that it can't be said that they were, but it's clearly exactly what everyone said Apple was going to do like a year ago.
It is. It's like carbon copy. It's a thin, and then it has the camera bar, and it's essentially the same thing. And so the 17 Air is going to replace the 16 Plus, which by all accounts wasn't a great seller. The 16 and 15, the 15 Plus, 16 Plus, it's been 2 years, which replaced the minis, and they weren't a great seller. So this like third model, it's been tough for Apple to sell. We'll see if this is the one. I guess, like I said, we'll get into it more depth next week, but we'll see.
I'll be curious to know. It only has to beat the sales of the Plus in order to be a success. And then also, as we said, some of this is we're prepping a folding phone, which is going to need to basically be the engineering of this in each half of this folding phone, right?
Right.
So I think it can do that. I mean, I know people with Plus phones and they like them. It's not that's not a problem. But I think the novelty of this, at least this first year, good. I think this will sell well in part because of the novelty. I'll be curious to know if there's an iPhone 19 Air, how that sells. Like if people rush out to buy this because it's so cool and then go back to saying, oh, I miss having more cameras and more battery life.
Well, yeah. So next year, if there is an 18 Air, that'll be next to the first folding phone.
Yeah.
So the people who want the newest thing are going to dump the Air and get the Fold or whatever it's called.
For more than twice the money, though? Like, I don't know.
More than twice, yeah.
That Fold is supposed to be super expensive. So I don't think they're playing in the same market.
I mean, Samsung charges $2,000. They've been making them for 5 or 6 years already, and that's still $2,000. So the iPhone Fold is going to be conservatively $2,299 to start.
Yeah, I would think some crazy high number,
which is next year. I don't know. It's just so this is a big event. The Air, whether it sells or not, it's a milestone phone. As Jason said, it's one half of the folding phone essentially, because when you put it together, you can't have a 20 millimeter thick phone. You got so they engineered it down to what it needs to be. It's going to be one of those things where you need to like touch it and hold it. Like I think they'll sell a lot at the Apple store. It's particularly if you pick up the Pro and then you pick up that, it's like, oh wow, this is super thin.
Yeah. So, that's one of those things that the Pro is supposed to be getting slightly thicker.
Yeah.
And will get a bigger battery because of it. And I know a lot of people who are excited about that, but I also think that's kind of anchoring expectations where you'll pick up that and then you'll pick up and that'll make the Air feel even thinner by comparison.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. Apple does, they're not stupid when it comes to like upselling and downselling and reselling and side selling. Like they know what they're doing. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
We have a lot more to say about all these and the other products, but we should save that for the big preview next week.
Yeah, it'll be next week. We're about a week and a half away from the event. Again, September 9th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And next week we will talk all about that, the iPhones, the 4 iPhones, plus everything else that's going to come out at that event.
Yeah. Watches, AirPods, all kinds of good stuff.
So, all right, let's do worst thing that happened this week. I hate this segment. I like it. Like I like that we're doing it. I like that we're talking about things that are bad, but we were talking before the show. Like it's really, first of all, it's not easy to come up with 3 different things, but it's also it's depressing to come up with something bad we gotta work on the best thing that happened this week. I like this segment
because I like that we don't want to just be Apple fanboys. Like bad things happen. Yeah. They're the most powerful and rich like tech company in the world. You should hold them to account for bad things. And it's not always something Apple did. For example, the thing that I think you think is the worst thing this week is not something Apple did.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So that Jason just teed me up. I'll start. So
it's a real underhand, slow pitch thing.
I grounded out to short, but I'm going to go anyway. So Monday this week, Elon Musk and X, which is, it's X is the social network, but X is also his like big umbrella corporation for all the things that he does. He filed a lawsuit against Apple and OpenAI about, let me just get the exact phrase here.
It's some antitrust stuff.
Yeah. I just wanted to get, so he's complaining that Apple favors OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, in the App Store and promotes it and tweaks the App Store rankings so they're higher and pushes it to people when they're searching for AI stuff and doesn't do the same with Grok, which is his version of AI under the X AI, because everything that Elon Musk does is X something, SpaceX, something. X. Yeah, he likes X. So that's the lawsuit.
There's 2 elements really. There's that one, and the other element is that iOS 18 has a ChatGPT built in where you can ask when you ask Siri for something. You can have ChatGPT give you more info. You can send ChatGPT a screenshot. You can use writing tools. Right. That integration is only for ChatGPT right now, and he says that's not fair.
Right.
They have to allow integration with other things.
And which there's no indication that they're not or that they won't.
Yeah, in fact, there's just indication that they are.
Right.
The rumors are that they're all building. They're going to allow Google Gemini to be an option.
Right.
For that.
And Perplexity was another one that they were looking into.
Eventually, yeah. Right now, for this part, for the more detail than Siri gives you part of the OS kind of stuff, Gemini is the only one coming up next. But it's eventually supposed to just be more options. And when they announced this at WWDC in 2024, they announced ChatGPT and here's all the things you could do. And they said, and we're going to expand to having other AI models available in the future. And that in the future just hasn't happened yet. But the suit seems weird because, all right, at the time they built this into iOS 18, which is like prior to WWDC 2024, like Grok was nothing. Grok was not a well-formed and complete AI product that has like good hooks for APIs and stuff to build in external products. Like that didn't exist then. So I think he just sort of wants Well, the lawsuit wants everything. The lawsuit wants damages and punitive damages, and it wants an injunction, and it wants they want them to like disable ChatGPT until they can build ours in there as well. Like it wants all the whole
right, which isn't going to happen. But so a couple of things. Elon Musk hates Sam Altman, who is the CEO or the founder of OpenAI.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure about the history there, but they're always like feuding on X and sniping at each other. And, they just don't like each other. And the other thing, so like this being the worst thing that happened, I don't really care about Apple being sued. They get sued probably every day. What makes this one worse is that like what Elon Musk is alleging is almost certainly not happening. Apple is not sitting there and manipulating charts so OpenAI gets exposure. But by partnering with OpenAI, it gives the appearance every time OpenAI is featured, every time OpenAI, when you search for something and it pops up, even if it's an ad, it looks like to an outside party or to someone who has a competing product that Apple is promoting a company that they're profiting off it or that they have a relationship with. Right. And even if this lawsuit gets dismissed, even if Apple wins, whatever, it's hard to deny that the appearance is as such that this is what's going on. And you can't say Apple shouldn't partner with companies because they're going to do that. You can also say that regardless of the results of this lawsuit, the Apple is never going to partner with Elon Musk and Grok because it's too much of a lightning rod for criticism. They're never going to do it. I don't see a world where that happens.
I mean, I can imagine Apple in another generation or two of the OS just essentially having a framework where any AI third-party AI agent you download can
like pick your own default. Yeah.
Pick your own default, just like it does browsers or whatever.
Absolutely.
I can see that happening and get it there. But in terms of like partnering, I don't know. He's also alleging that they hurt X's ranking, X, the social network that was Twitter. Their ranking in the App Store compared to other things and stuff. And, that's a long held accusation against Apple is that they manipulate App Store rankings.
Right.
And it's never been proven, but he's got deep pockets and an axe to grind. So, I mean, we'll see. I think it'd be
a very loud microphone
I don't know how much, I don't know how far this will go because once discovery starts happening and we get to start seeing things like Elon Musk's communications, corporate communications about manipulating the algorithm of X and all that other kind of stuff that they do. Like, I don't think they want to get that far necessarily.
And, actually, Sam Altman tweeted that. And he's like, well, this is rich because this is what I hear you're doing.
Right.
So they don't like each other.
So I think there's, but it could, so this could be just fishing for, they want a judge to issue a temporary injunction to stop the integration from ChatGPT in iOS. And that way that would give Elon time to catch up or whatever, or just fishing for a big settlement, right?
Yeah.
Like this will never see a courtroom. Apple's just going to pay a bunch of money to make it go away. It could be that. Anyway, you slice it though. I just don't think this is a good.
It's not. Yeah.
These courtroom battles are never great, but you can look at something like the big Fortnite thing and go, okay, there's a point to this principle. Like whether you like the companies or the people involved at all here, they do have a point about Apple's control over app distribution, right? Yep. This doesn't feel like that at all. Like you just look at this and you go like, oh, come on.
It's like someone stamping their feet and saying, well, how come I'm not higher? It's like, well,
right. Just mad at the popular people.
Yeah. And he has $250 billion and he can just, fire off a lawsuit and not worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not my worst thing this week. Though. Mine is, they raised the price of Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
from $9.99 to $12.99, which is a 30% increase. It's not that big in like the UK. I think it went from £8.99 pounds to $9.99 or something. So it's like not quite as bad. But still, it's a pretty substantial increase.
And it was $5.99 at launch.
$4.99.
So that's $4.99. So that's like almost 3 times as much. Yeah, you're right. It went up to $5.99. Yeah,
we said back then this is not going to last.
Right.
This is just because they have no content. Right. But every subscription,
everyone
streaming media company, but kind of every subscription out there just boils the frog. It's cheap. They get everybody to subscribe. You forget you're paying for it month after month. And then they send you an email saying it's going to be $1 more. And then 6 months later, they go, it's going to be $1 more. And you just don't notice and it gets charged to your card. And the next thing you know, you're paying like 40 or 50% more and you're not getting 40 or 50% more. You're just so I don't love that this is happening.
I don't either. The bottom line here is this stuff is expensive. Netflix, Paramount Plus, Peacock, whatever you're doing, if you're paying to create content, it is not cheap. And we used to complain about cable. We all did. Like, oh, my bill's $180 a month and I don't watch more than half the channels. So they're like, okay, fine. We'll give you a la carte stuff. And guess what?
Right.
If you want like 4 of them, you're paying as much as you were for cable.
Right.
So it turned out that you were basically subsidizing. If you watch these 4 channels, someone else watches these 4 channels, someone else watches these 4 channels, and that's how this all works. So it stinks that it went up. I completely understand that it did, but $9.99 to $12.99, as Jason said, that's a big hike. 30% is a lot.
One would hope that means that they're not going to raise it again for quite a while, but that's not what has happened. There's been, it went to like $7.99 or whatever.
It went up last year, I think.
Yeah, it's everyone's going to just add a couple more bucks every year until you're just paying $30 for 5 different streaming services. And that said, I don't think this is a bad deal. It's still one of the cheapest.
I agree. Yeah.
To get a cheaper deal out of some other streaming service, you have to get with ads, you have to get 1080p, no sharing, blah, blah. This is highest video. They have one plan and it's the highest video quality. And even their Apple's 4K tends to be higher bitrate, better quality than even other guys' 4K.
Absolutely.
And
you can
full
share
family
it
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 people, that's pretty, and it's not 6 people like, oh, you can log in from 6 locations with your password. It's 6 separate accounts, essentially, like that have their own lists and everything. It's
and you can log in simultaneously, and it does it. It's a totally separate thing.
Each of them can download episodes and stuff. It's like having 6 people subscribe to Apple TV Plus with their own subscriptions. It's the same.
And as Jason said, like the library is good. It's all Apple originals for the most part. But it's good. They used to, every now and again, they'll give you like 30 days of some movie. Like I remember when Wolves came out, they gave a couple of Brad Pitt movies for free to subscribers. And they the F1 movie is coming out. Like that doesn't feel like an Apple TV production. Like that's like a big budget movie. But the quality is great. And you can sign up for a year still for $100. So that's a savings if you
they kind of hide that.
Year. Yeah.
You gotta sign up for monthly and then go in,
change it.
Go to your settings, tap on yourself, go to subscriptions, tap on that subscription, and you'll get the option to switch it to a yearly. It's worth doing if you want to pay for it, because it used to be 12 months for the price of 10. Now it's 12 months for the price of 8 or something, because it's still $100. So
and Apple One, which includes iCloud storage and Apple News and Apple Arcade and Apple Music, that didn't go up either. So that's a slightly better deal as well. And that can include if they have individual plans or family sharing plans or whatever you need. But that's like quietly like one of the better values that Apple offers if you do use all that stuff. Like the 2 terabytes of iCloud storage by itself is great. You can share it with 5 people. You get Apple Music, which is
the top plan is
legitimately great.
I think the entry plan is 500 gigs or something like that
for individual. Yeah.
But for individual, but yeah, no, Apple One. If you have family members who are, or even just good buddies who who are Apple users that you can just add to your sharing, all those things have family sharing. So it's like, you may not all like all those services, but to give them to everybody and have them all be as though they subscribe themselves. Like they don't have to you're not logging into Apple Music and it's going, who's listening? And you have to choose the person. And then you get no, it's just like, it's on your phone, like you subscribe. So to have that for up to 6 people for $30 a month for like all the services plus all that cloud storage is a really good deal.
Yeah, $26 a month with 200 gigabytes of storage, $38 a month for 2 terabytes of storage, and you also get Fitness Plus and News Plus. But for $26, you get iCloud storage, Apple TV, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, which are the main things that people are going to use. You're saving $15 a month, something like that. So it's I feel like we're running an advertisement here. Apple didn't pay us to say this.
You're saving $15 a month off of one person buying all those things.
Right.
But when you start family sharing it to everyone, the fact that I have a full, like my wife and my whole family back in Louisiana, are all getting all of those services for my $140 a month, makes it dirt cheap. It's essentially $8 a month each for all of Apple's services. It's crazy good.
Yeah, I share mine with my parents as well. And I don't even really think about it, but they're getting all that stuff as well. And iCloud, iCloud storage is good for backups and photos, and it's not just for movies and stuff.
Yep.
It's definitely good. But back to the worst thing. I'm sure we'll see another in a year or two, another $1 or $2 increase. Because F1, the F1 movie, for example, that cost them $500 million to make.
Market,
they got to pay,
to make and market it,
and IMAX and the marketing of it. And, they made most of that back, I'm sure, but they don't get, if they're putting up the morning show or shrinking, those shows are expensive and there's no advertising. So there's not revenue there. So they're relying on, subscriptions and people buying Apple devices. No, that's not to say it's okay, but I completely understand why it's so much. And as Jason said before, it's still half the price of Netflix. So so we really spun that into a good thing, Jason. I'm sorry.
It's still 30% more expensive, and it's just this march of increasing pricing. It's not like they just raised it. It's like they just raised it for the 4th or 5th time.
Yeah.
I think a 4th time, maybe. Yeah. And like you said, it's coming again.
Yeah. And they made $20 billion last quarter in services. It's not like they're starving.
On. Oh, yeah.
All right. Speaking of Apple TV Plus, which is a Tim Cook thing, this week in Apple history, I'm going to pass off to Roman to talk about that amazing transition I just teed up for him.
Yeah, so this segment is This Week in Apple History, where we take a look back at an event on Apple's long history. And this week, specifically on August 24th, 2011, Tim Cook was named CEO of Apple. People know the story. Steve Jobs was battling cancer, and during that time, Tim Cook had to step in to cover for Jobs while he was on medical leave. But then on August 24th, 2011, Steve Jobs basically retired and Tim Cook took over. Steve Jobs passed away 6 weeks later, I believe, in October.
October 5th,
Yeah. So it wasn't a surprise that Cook was named CEO, but I think there were some people who were worried that he wasn't the right person because he's a very different person than Steve Jobs.
Yes.
And a lot of people couldn't understand why Jobs wanted Cook, who was very good at his job at the time. He was the CFO. He was, he did a very good job.
He was in charge of like operations and like supply chain stuff. And
he was
like that's all kind of stuff that we don't write or talk about because it's boring. But man, was he good at it.
Yeah. There was he was the obvious right-hand man of Steve Jobs in a way that Tim Cook doesn't really have right now.
Right.
Of course, this was in an era where they had sort of live presentations and things that they don't have now. So you don't see that kind of thing. But the big concern at the time was just that. It was that Tim Cook is kind of he's an operations guy. He's a logistics guy. He's not a creative visionary. So he's not going to deliver the kind of great products and, groundbreaking, world-changing things like the iPod and the iPhone. He's not going to give us these sorts of things. And then, of course, Apple has a very well-known history of like losing Steve Jobs and going to hell, and then Steve Jobs coming back and fixing it. So losing Steve Jobs again, even though it was for a medical reason, just seemed like maybe the sky was falling.
Sure. There were a lot of big pieces.
The sky did not fall.
No. But at the time, there were a lot of pieces written. I'm sure we wrote some of them that, questioned whether or not, like, why not Johnny Ive? Why not Craig Federighi? Why not Steve Wozniak? Like Wozniak. Oh my God, that was horrible. Phil Schiller. I don't know why I thought of Steve Wozniak.
Phil Schiller,
anyway,
Eddie Q, any of these guys.
Like there were names that were well known, that were personalities at Apple. Tim Cook was not one of them at all. And, in many ways, he still isn't. Like during the keynotes, he hands off to other people. Like he's not the personality of Apple, but over the last 14 years, he's done a damn good job.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I kind of took a quick glance at what has happened in the Tim Cook era, and he's basically quadrupled Apple's revenue and
just casually.
And well, it's been 14 years, but he has quadrupled sort of Apple's revenue and income, net income and stuff. They sell about 3 to 4 times as many iPhones a year as they used to. I would say that I was going to say the iPhone's gotten more sticky, but really everybody's ecosystem has gotten more ecosystem-y in those 14 years. Mm-hmm. And that has led to like a 10x increase in number of global iPhone users, right? That's gone from like 110 million or something to over 1 billion. Because people replace their iPhone with an iPhone, and then there's new people coming in. But then there was just new products that I thought it was interesting to look at. Like, I don't think we could give the iPhone 4S to Tim Cook, even though it happened a couple months after he was CEO, because it's not like he led development of that. But we can everything from Apple Watch.
Even if you jump, even if you just say the iPhone 6 onward is under Tim Cook's tutelage. Like that's a good legacy.
Right. Notably, though, iPhone 10 was well after, and that was. We spoke before about how like iPhone's going through a revolution. It's going to take a few years because the engineering challenges are really tough. That was a big, sudden spike, revolution. And they even said as much, like, this is the iPhone for the next 10 years, basically. And it came out at the same time as the iPhone 8, which was the iPhone you've been using.
Right.
It's like, we're also going to release the next thing. And it had like multiple things going on at once. They switched to OLED. They made the whole screen front. They introduced Face ID. There was a notch. Mm-hmm. That was a huge controversy. The notch was, oh my God. I remember the controversy over the notch. Like the stainless steel design. The wireless charging came to the 8 as well at the same time, but that was the year wireless charging was introduced. It was just this massive thing. And when you look at a photo of an iPhone 10, that could be an iPhone from today. Somebody could tell you that's iPhone 17. You'd go like, oh yeah, they're going back to the curved edges. Like it's the same kind of thing. Yep. So that was a big one. He gave us Apple Watch. He gave us AirPods. Yep. The company under Tim Cook. And then there were some things that didn't do as well, like HomePod and HomePod Mini. And, he oversaw the transition to Apple Silicon for Macs, which that could not have gone better.
Yeah.
Like the last time they changed processor archetypes and it's a huge compatibility nightmare and all that. Yeah. This time, how smooth did this go? Like this was, so that, and then you get things like Apple Card and some other wonky products, AirTags, there's a lot in the Tim Cook era. I think this idea that like Steve Jobs was the innovator and Tim Cook isn't. Well, Tim Cook is managing innovators who are still cranking out desirable products.
And like the whole chip thing, you bring up the transition, it's really all of it. And that's like his stock and trade is figuring out how to do that.
Yes.
Like the first, I correct me if I'm wrong, Roman, the A4 in the iPhone 4, I think was Apple's first iPhone chip.
I believe that is
know.
correct.
I know the original iPhone didn't have one. I don't think the 3G or 3GS did. I think they used MediaTek. But I think so. So the iPhone 4, Steve Jobs died a year later, and it was just a chip. Like now, it's like the foundation for all of Apple products. They have how many different lines? They have a modem. They have, the S in the Apple Watch. They have the M series in the Mac. They have the A series in 2 different kinds. Like that's all Cook. We were just talking about the iPhone 10. Like even the decision to release the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 at the same time, that could have been a disaster because if you go all in on the 10 and people don't buy into spending $1,000 on a phone,
right?
You're stuck.
That was a huge price hike at the time.
It was. Yeah. And if you only have the 8 and then you're stuck with another generation of the home button, like he's very smart and calculating when it comes to that stuff. And in some ways, like the perfect successor to this, kind of eccentric, maybe not eccentric, but this kind of, this visionary inventor that was Steve Jobs.
Yes.
There's a famous quote that Tim Cook shared a couple of years after Steve Jobs died, where he said that Steve told him, one of the last things he told him, never ask what I do, just do what's right. And you can say that, like, that's good advice for anybody, I guess. But
I know.
For like, if Tim Cook spent his days trying to think about, like, how do I design the Apple Watch the way Steve would have? How do I design this new MacBook the way, you're just going to run around in circles and go nowhere. Like he trusts himself, he trusts his team. Yet you can still feel like the legacy of Steve Jobs is still very much alive at Apple.
Yeah, I think we hear that a lot whenever Apple does something that people don't like. They go, Steve Jobs would never do this. And I think that is a very revisionist history view of many of the products that came out during Steve Jobs' tenure. Like Steve Jobs would never remove the headphone jack. And I'm like,
he absolutely would have.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe not, but I don't think you can lay that thing. So I think we see those sort of, they say history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Like I think we see some of that stuff now. I think we see the Newton as a kind of a flop that set the stage, that was like ahead of its time in some ways and set the stage for things that would eventually happen with like iPhone and iPad that blew up. And that could be happening with Vision Pro now. Like I don't think Vision Pro is going to be successful, but I think there will be a successor to Vision Pro that is the same thing as the iPhone was to the Newton.
Sure.
That will blow up, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that's kind of happening again.
Yeah, I wonder, like we write every now and again, like how long Tim Cook has here at Apple. Like he's relatively young. 10 years, 15 years. Like he seems like he's a, pretty quiet guy. Like I'm sure he'll be happy to just retire and spend, like a retirement, unlike unfortunately Steve Jobs was able to do. So I wonder like how much longer we have, and also who's after him. Jason said before, like he doesn't have an obvious successor. You can look at, Federici, you can look at John Turnus. Like there are guys that are known people and, within the ranks at Apple, but I don't know. I don't know who's next.
The odds-on favorite was Jeff Williams, but he just announced that he's going to be retiring, so it's not going to be him. And then even a Federighi or an Eddie Q or somebody like that they've been there for so long now that you kind of want a CEO who's going to have 15 to 20 years of runway, potentially, right? And I don't think any of those guys are necessarily. So I think they're all looking at sometime in the next 2 decades, like getting out of this. So
yeah, probably.
Yeah, there's no, like you said, there's no real obvious successor. It could be a strange thing where they bring in somebody from the outside, which would be, it's not uncommon in the corporate world to do that, but it's unusual in Apple to have that sort of thing.
It's not an easy job. Whoever gets it, man, like you're going to be taking the reins of a possibly $4 trillion company at the time, and hoping to steer it to greater things. It's not easy.
Not just a $4 trillion company, but a company that has a set of problems it has never had. Like if there's a criticism of the Tim Cook era, is that he grew the company from $100 million ish in revenue to or $100 billion a year, whatever, to more than that. He went from a scrappy underdog who was behind in almost everything except for the iPhone, like almost everything, and grew it into like the world's biggest technology company. Only NVIDIA just shot past it because they're selling AI servers, right? They're selling mining picks to people who are go forging for gold. But there's like if anything, they don't act like they became the IBM of today. They became the big corporate computer company thing, and they kind of don't act like that sometimes. And that's what's getting them into trouble. That's why they have antitrust, like investigations and actions and legal stuff all over the world, in every region of the world. It's an issue with Apple. So that whoever comes next is going to have to sort of navigate this thing where it's like, no, we're the big dog now, and that puts a target on you from world governments and stuff. We don't get to be a scrappy underdog anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Cook wakes up and he has to fight the EU, and he has to release the iPhone 17, and he has to deal with the show up at the White House and handle that tariffs. And so like, it is so difficult. I can't even imagine what the day-to-day, like what it's like compared to Steve Jobs, his last healthy year to now. Like Steve Jobs would have quit like 5 years ago. He wouldn't have handled this stuff. If he was healthy, maybe, yeah. God, but there's also just sort of that thing where, like, the AI is a perfect example.
Yeah. I don't think Apple has been using AI in their products for a long time, but this whole thing where like generative AI and blowing up and stuff, I think Apple would have been happy to just be like the company that makes really great hardware and software that lets other companies' AI products thrive. Yep. But it can't do that. It has to have its own AI product. It's a $4 trillion public company, and those investors demand that you have your own AI that is amazing, and it has to be better than the other market leaders. And that's tough, man.
Yeah, any like a bad day on the stock market, and you just lost, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much value.
$500 million or $300 billion or whatever it is. Like it's
$300 billion.
Like the ship he's steering is so massive.
Right. Yes, and that's whoever comes in after him. I guess what I'm saying is when Tim Cook took over, to bring it back to this week in Apple history, when he took over in 2011, the concern was, is he creative enough? Like, is he? And the concern when Tim Cook leaves is hey, is this somebody who can run one of the world's biggest and richest companies that has to deal with global governments and legal issues all the time? Like, it's a whole different set of problems.
Yeah, just to put a hard number on it, in 2011, Apple's end of year market cap, which is after Tim Cook was CEO for about 6 months, $377.5 billion, which is big. They're, as of right now,
10x.
Yeah, $3.5 trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-boggling how big
it's almost 10x, which
is
huge. Right.
Right. In what do we talk about, 14 years, which is, that's pretty healthy growth.
Yeah. And it's not just value, it's the influence they have.
Yeah, right.
Which is where I feel that they're very different from NVIDIA. Is NVIDIA blew up in value. I mean, it was popular with gamers, and of course they made server products, but they just blew up because their most expensive and valuable server product became the thing that everybody makes AI on.
Yeah.
They don't have influence in every individual's life in that way. Like your parents aren't aware of NVIDIA products or whatever. But Apple's not like that. Apple grew 10x over the last 14 years by making all of their products super popular globally and just having so much influence. Like geez, AirPods. Like they certainly didn't invent true wireless earbuds, but they became the true wireless earbuds that made them popular and everyone copied.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that wraps up the Apple history segment. Jason Snell, who writes for Macworld, he wrote a look back at Tim Cook's tenure and also possibility of what the future holds with Tim Cook and Apple. So you want to take a look at that article. We have a link to it in our show notes.
All right. I'm going to stick with Roman because we're going to wrap this up with our reader mailbag.
Yeah. This is the Macworld Podcast Mailbag. These are your comments on recent Macworld articles and podcasts, and your comments on recent Apple happenings. And as we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the big news is the announcement of Apple's September 9th event. On Facebook, someone who goes by the name of Oliver Twist.
Is it the Oliver Twist?
The real Oliver Twist?
Well, this Oliver
Facebook now.
This Oliver Twist on Facebook, they have a cool-looking profile pic of Darth Vader on a skateboard.
We're mixing up cultures here.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure it's AI generated, but it actually looks pretty cool. Oliver said, "The awe is long gone. The presentation, especially Craig's, will be cringeworthy to the point where I'll switch off like I always do these days. They'll all move and act like maniacs on speed, hard to copy Steve's body language and hand gestures. It'll be a poop fest," they use a different word, "with no innovation at all."
Just to take umbrage with a slight thing, Craig Federighi probably won't be there because it's not software. I don't think, does he take part in he does iOS. Will he be part of the iPhone event? I don't know.
Doesn't he sometimes, I see all the events blur together. That's why it always sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about these events. But doesn't he sometimes step in and talk about, whenever they do the iPhone event, they talk about the new features in the upcoming iOS. And doesn't he step in during that session?
I don't know. He does. He's always at WWDC.
Right.
I had to go back and watch them, and I don't have time to do that.
I just find this whole comment interesting because this person clearly watches every year
just don't watch them.
to hate watch it. And then I turn it off like I do every year. I'm like, why are you still watching every year if you hate it and you turn it off? There's no innovation. It's like this is like there's a set of fans who buys Apple products and hates them all, and that's what this feels like. This person's real upset about this corporate product announcement event. Wow.
So I was wrong. Craig Federighi did appear in the iPhone 16 event. He talked about Apple Intelligence. So I guess it's possible that he appears, but it's usually not him. But
so it's usually when they do something that, like they had the camera button that added visual intelligence, and that's like a software thing, and that's when they do a thing. So if there's some hardware thing that there's a new iOS feature that's enabled just for these new devices, he'll come out and talk about that.
But dude, Oliver Twist, just don't watch it. Like, I don't watch the Samsung event.
Don't be so mad. All right,
like it's okay.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask this during the Tim Cook segment. Roman, did you ever see a Tim Cook keynote? You must have, right?
In person?
Yeah, in person. Yeah, at some point.
Oh, now I can't remember if I have or not.
They're all pre-recorded now.
They're all pre-recorded now.
There to watch
since 2020.
You know what?
No, I mean, like before 2020. Did you ever watch like a
some
event that he was a part of?
When Tim Cook became CEO, I was at Macworld, but I wasn't high up on the ladder enough to go to the events. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I went to a Tim Cook live event.
I saw. So they had the strangest Apple event of all time was in the Brooklyn Academy of Music in 2018. They launched the iPad Pro, the redesigned iPad Pro, and the new Mac Mini. I forget what was new about it, some Intel processor. But and Lana Del Rey performed 2 songs. It was the strangest event ever. But I did see Tim Cook at that event, and it was nice to be part of a live event because out here on the East Coast, I don't get very many options to do it.
I actually, now that you mentioned that, I do remember I went to an event in Chicago.
I remember that the high school event.
Oh yeah,
like you went to a school or something.
Something like that. I think it was Chicago, but it was at a theater in a school, and I went to that event. And that was a Tim Cook.
That was the iPad. I think maybe Apple Pencil, the first Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think just to jump off Oliver Twist's comment, like I miss the spontaneity of live events. I miss, like the recorded events are cool and fun and interesting, but like there's nothing like watching someone mess up on stage and have to fumble through something, and it's just like it just feels so canned.
Or just
so
hear where there's applause
structured
moments and where there aren't and stuff like that. Yeah, like it's too slick. It's slick to the point of being annoying. I'll give him that. He just seems very angry. Let's move on to the next. There's another comment or something, right, Roman?
Yeah, so we got one more comment. This one is about an article that Macworld contributor Mahmoud Atani wrote on why he switched from Spotify to Apple Music. A reader named Scott File sent us an email with very good reasons why he's a Spotify user. Scott wrote that Apple's algorithms are still vastly inferior to Spotify. Apple still can't replicate Spotify's Discover Weekly in any shape or form. Apple's huge issue is allowing separate accounts within its Apple One subscription used by a family. The Apple Music interface is a collection of everyone's playlists and music, which severely hampers Apple's already bad algorithms. That's a game changer Apple needs to fix. Finally, Scott said, Apple needs to do away with authorized devices. It's 2025, for goodness sake.
So I agree with the authorized devices thing. Like it's silly that we have to do that. But I contacted Mahmoud and I got a reply to this guy. The separate accounts thing, like you can have separate accounts with separate algorithms and separate watch histories and listening histories. And like, I'm not sure what's happening there. I suspect maybe that reader is using a shared, like, so you can go to like app stores and like share your library within, so you could have a separate account, but it's the same store. And if you do that, you could sign into that account all together in Apple Music. And I suspect that's what's happening. And that's why because that's how it is in my family as well. And I don't mind it because it doesn't affect me. But I think that's so my Apple Music account isn't me. It's this other account that I created to share purchases like a while back. And I wonder if that's not what's happening there. Jason, you would know. You do it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a lot of my family members use Apple Music a lot, but they do use it. None of their stuff is none of their stuff is in my Apple Music anywhere. Like,
yeah. And same
they're
with me.
They're all
like
using the
like my wife and I
family sharing
share.
So.
And my parents or whoever, like they must listen to something, and I never see anything in there. So something's going on there.
Yeah, so I think that's something different than family sharing. I think he's doing purchase sharing, and then that shows up like your purchases and something like that. I don't know. I'll give him. I think the interface has gotten better. It's getting better again in 26. Yeah. I can see why people who are used to Spotify's interface don't like it. And there's one thing that I still can't stand, and I don't know why they don't do it, is when I'm listening to a song, I have to tap the next and previous buttons to go next or previous. On Spotify, I can swipe the album art, the whole top, the whole screen. I can just swipe it left or right. Why can't I swipe? Swiping is a normal thing now. Come on, Apple.
Yeah.
Like I do it all the time. I go, shoot, I got to touch the stupid button. But the algorithm, I'll give them. They're right. It's the Apple's recommendation algorithm. It's not bad. It's not like, I hate all these songs, but it's not what I get on. Just like Spotify does a much better job of reaching through a lot more time period and styles, but I like them all. And recommending
that's
stuff.
The biggest thing. Apple Music gives you very obvious choices. Like if you listen to Taylor Swift, you're going to get Sabrina Carpenter. Like it's obvious stuff. Whereas Spotify, you're right. They have deeper understanding, and they'll give you artists that maybe you haven't heard of before. But I prefer the Apple Music interface over Spotify personally. I think it's really good. I think there's not much that they haven't added over the years that Spotify has.
I'm certainly not going to go pay for Spotify when Apple Music is part of my Apple One subscription.
Well, and there's for sure that.
Right? Like it's not better enough to make me go do that.
And now it's real easy to switch. Apple has a tool built into Apple Music now that you can bring over your playlist and your library and your music.
Is it built in
from
or is
Spotify?
It an app?
It's built in. It's in the settings of either it's the settings of the app, or you can go to the website and it's in the settings there.
Right.
But I don't know how long it takes because I'm not a Spotify user, but I looked online on Reddit and stuff, and people say it's pretty quick. So
it matches. It matches stuff, but it's something about it doesn't handle. So it doesn't handle podcasts, and it doesn't handle any of the algorithmically made playlists.
It's all any of your playlist made by Spotify. Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So if it's a discovery playlist, like that's not going to come over.
Right.
But everything else should,
Yep.
I don't use Spotify for political reasons, but we won't get into that here. I probably even shouldn't mention it. That is a whole other thing. Like,
that's a whole separate thing. So, their whole like sort of, they tried to wrap up exclusive podcasts and pay a bunch of podcasters and stuff like that. And that's a whole other thing that maybe you liked or didn't like. I can see why people will want their podcasts to be in the same app.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Like I could see why maybe they should combine Apple Music and Apple Podcasts.
I could also see how they might not want them cluttering up the music library because they're very different experiences. So,
so that does it for the mailbag. If you want more information, if you want to read Mahmoud's article, you can find a link to that in our show notes. I'll even throw in a link to Oliver Twist his post on Facebook if you guys want to take a look.
Don't dogpile on Oliver Twist.
Yes, maybe you agree with Oliver. Who knows?
Right. I'm just saying, we're not trying to tell all our listeners to go dogpile on him or whatever. Just,
yeah, and check out his Darth Vader pick. It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode 948. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
And thank you to our producer, Roman Loyola.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, the audience, for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast, as we said, only in the podcast app or on Spotify, on YouTube at the Macworld Podcast channel, or through any other third-party podcast app. If you have any comments or questions, you can send us an email at podcast@macworld.com or contact us through Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads, and search for Macworld and look for our blue mouse logo. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about everything in the world of Apple. See you next time.